So, first question,
Yes.
who is the Labour defector?
I've actually turned down sitting members of Parliament because they're not a good fit.
So, if I said, I don't know, Kate Hoey, you wouldn't flicker of an eyebrow there?
Look, it's up to us to decide what we are going to show. What we cannot afford to do is to be a retirement home for failed MPs. Kemi Badenoch has got a major problem. I actually think the game's up. I feel this is the last chance saloon for the United Kingdom. But it's true, he is living rent-free in Starmer's head.
But you took Robert Jenrick. Do you trust him?
What I would say is, and this is a very serious point,
Welcome to the Daily Expresso. I'm JJ, and today I'm delighted to be joined in the studio by a friend, the chairman of Reform UK, Dr. David Bull.
how lovely. Very nice to see you, actually. It's been a while.
See, I admitted on camera that you're a friend.
You did, which was an error
I'll
of
probably
enormous
get
magnitude.
cancelled. No, that's it.
Would you? Would you? No, I don't think you would. Look, actually, I think the majority of the public are on our side. And obviously, I've known you for a long time, and we used to work together. And sort of for me, going from television, and obviously I've always been involved in politics, but to be now the chairman of the fastest growing political party in this country.
It's wild, isn't it?
That's the word I use.
Yeah.
It's wild. And I did a rally yesterday in Newark where we welcomed Robert Jenrick. But I walked onto stage, and even though I do this a great deal, I have never had a standing ovation before I start.
Really?
Yeah, and so that shows you something that's going on, and it's quite interesting in the Westminster bubble. People are quite rude about reform. Certainly those traditional politicians are quite rude about us. They haven't been around the country, because when you go around the country, it's not like counting the vote. I can weigh it. I can feel it.
Yeah.
There's definitely a movement going on, and that is pretty extraordinary.
Wow. I don't get a standing ovation.
Well,
at any
I'll
point
give you
here.
a standing ovation.
Well, that was a clap, not an ovation, but whatever. So, Bully,
Yes.
we were expecting some big news today about the defection. So, first question,
Yes.
who is the Labour defector?
I'm not telling you. So look, the thing about politics is it's a very dynamic industry, isn't it?
Yeah.
And also it's like so everything is about timing. So we don't have to give away all our cards. And Nigel's a great one, isn't he? Where he sort of teases people and says, "This is what we're about to do," and so on. Just in terms of that, there is no doubt we are commanding the political agenda. All eyes are on us. So therefore, it is up to us to decide when to disclose things. And I don't want to give away too much, but look, as chairman, I have been there for the last 7 years, and if you remember when we were doing a show together, it was pretty much me and Richard, and even Nigel had left.
Yeah.
And there's a great story there where Richard came to my house in Suffolk, and he at that point was leader, and he said, "I've been thinking you should be deputy leader," and I was like, "Richard, there are only two of us, so so therefore it would make sense that I am deputy leader." So to go from that to where we are now, and actually it is extraordinary just how many people. So,
It is. So, if I said, I don't know, Kate Hoey, you wouldn't flicker of an eyebrow there?
look, it's up to us to decide what we are going to show.
I think Kate Hoey would be very much a good signing for Reform.
Sure. Sure. I'm just being very careful here.
I can see that.
Yes, I mean, lots of people have great attributes they can bring to us, but it has to be the right fit for us as well. We have come so far. I have worked incredibly hard. Nigel has worked incredibly hard. Richard has worked incredibly hard. And it's really funny to be sitting in my office now where actually...
In your golden tower. Were you like on the 40th floor there?
We're quite high up. I'm not going to tell you exactly. Otherwise, you'll be in the whole time. But it is extraordinary because to go from being... And I remember in the last general election, I was there to get members of parliament elected, which I duly did. And to go from that into what is now... I kind of feel like a father because the party now has almost an inertia of its own. And so when we started right at the beginning, we were, singing the hymn tune, writing the hymn tune, doing everything. And now actually, and it is great because we're of that mentality that we are a sort of an insurgent brand. Nothing phases us. So we were talking just before we went on air about this event last night. We put that together in under 3 days. I don't know any other party that could do that. And actually, Rob Jenrick said to me, "This is incredible. You know, the fact is, we took a hanger, we then dressed it. We had 1,500 people there. He walked onto stage and was absolutely gobsmacked.
Yeah.
And I spoke to him afterwards, and I said, well, could the Tories have done this? And he said, well, we could have had the venue, but you would have had about 50 people in it. So I think that shows the sort of wealth of the organisation. When you come round the country with me, I think what you'll see, these are normal people. These are people who are sick and tired of the direction of this country. And one of the things I said in my speech last night was, as the Labour government, if you were to design a manifesto to pretty much hurt anyone in this country or everyone in this country, you'd do what they'd done.
Yeah.
They have attacked everyone.
Yeah.
And people can see it, and people are really hurting. You know, when you look at the tax burden, for example, or attacking the farmers or whoever, or people who decide to send their kids to private school.
Yeah.
You know, it's shameful what they're doing. And actually, that's the overriding message. People want shot of this Labour government.
I think maybe some of our viewers and listeners don't understand the gravity and the amount of work that you guys do. I remember when we worked together, so we were on a TV show and a TV channel together. A very good one, a great one.
Yeah.
And you'd come in exhausted and saying to me how you'd been up writing the health part of the manifesto for 12 hours. I remember reading through it and thinking, actually, I don't like some of the stuff you're saying, but I agree with this. I think one of the things we were going to do was tax nurses less. That was a few years ago now.
Yeah. So one of the key points was that we need to retain really good talent. I'm deeply nervous we are getting the wrong people into medical school.
Yeah.
Your debt at the end of it is so high that you'll never pay it back. So if you're from a low socioeconomic group, who actually you're probably going to make a great doctor because you actually understand what it is to, you know, come from a poorer background, or you understand disease or all the rest of it, you are not going to do that, are you? No. So that's a problem for me. And then we've got also the retention problem. So you've got people who train in Britain, and then they decide, well, actually, it's awful living here. I'll go to Australia.
Yeah.
So actually, is there a way that we can say, look, if you buy into the NHS and you commit for 10 years, we will write off your student debt? For doctors, for nurses, for other people who are key into the NHS, I think that's pretty appealing.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I think
Thank
it's good. Well, you're welcome. I liked it 3 years ago.
That's the one policy you did like.
That's the one policy I did like. Are there any Red Wall Labour MPs who you're particularly fond of?
So just in terms of MPs coming across, and I'm really pleased with this, actually, I've been speaking to Nigel a great deal about making sure there's a cut-off for people coming over to our party. What we cannot afford to do is to be a retirement home for failed MPs.
Fair.
I have worked too hard, Nigel's worked too hard, and Richard's worked too hard to get this party to where it is. One of the USPs of this great party is actually I trained 200 people from Scotland, from Wales, I think last weekend. These people have never been in politics, and they're brilliant, and they're passionate. So there is an argument to say, do we need any MPs? Because there is in some ways, because you need people who understand the system. We will take people who subscribe to our values, and only people who subscribe to our values.
Okay. But you took Robert Jenrick. Do you trust him? Do you trust Bobby?
So I didn't know him until he joined our party, but I do, because he resigned, didn't he, from the Tory cabinet?
From the Tory cabinet.
He resigned from the Tory cabinet. So I felt that was a pretty principled stand. I spent time with him. Obviously, I was with him last night. I've spoken to him on the phone at great length. He is 100% in tune with what we are doing. The crucial bit about that, he is a senior ex-minister.
Yeah.
He understands how Whitehall works and how you get stuff done. And the same is true of Danny Kruger, actually. Yeah. Because although I'm passionate, as you know, have I been in government? No. Do I know how to defeat the blob and the civil service? No. Do they? Yes. Yeah. So it is actually going to have to bring together all of those talents together. But equally, I want people who are butchers, electricians, carpenters. I want people who've run nursing homes. I want people who've got some experience. It seems utterly nuts to me that you have the NHS being run by a career politician who did PPE at Oxford and Cambridge and has never been near a hospital. It's utter madness.
That is crazy. I think you signing Jenrick, I think generally speaking with the Reform supporters, I think it's gone down well.
Yeah,
it certainly went down better than Nadhim Zahawi.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. So Nadhim is a very, very successful businessman, obviously founded YouGov. Again, he knows Whitehall. I think he will be very effective at actually making sure things go through.
Yeah.
He and I differ, and particularly just in terms of that COVID vaccine. He was responsible for the fastest rollout of any COVID vaccination program anywhere in the world, as far as I'm aware, certainly in Europe. So that was his task. As you know, I have major issues with what they did.
Yeah.
You should never have vaccinated children. We should never have ever locked children up. The way they discharged elderly people from hospital, and I remember us doing a show at the time, actually, where they discharged them without testing them for COVID, sending them to nursing homes where people died in solitary confinement away from their families, unacceptable, totally unacceptable. And so in terms of the policy, I blame Whitty, Valance and Hancock. Nadhim Zahawi did not do that. Nadhim was there to roll out that vaccine, and he did a great job at doing that. But there are lots of lessons to be learned. The other thing I would say about Nadhim is he has no formal role. He has joined as a member, and lots of people have joined. When I took over as chairman, we had 90,000 members. We now have 271,000 members, and people are joining all the time. So should I sit there and say, well, Nadhim can't join? No, of course not.
But why do you think Reform supporters didn't like him joining?
So I have spoken to a number of journalists, friends of ours, mutual friends of ours, about this. He made a couple of comments which I don't agree with at the time. And I think there was that group thing. I wasn't there, but I mean, I assume there was a group think where they panicked. Boris Johnson panicked because he was seriously ill. I get that. I totally get that. And then they made policy, which in my humble opinion was wrong. Then they doubled down on that policy and they said things which I think are pretty indefensible. Now, does that mean that they have learned from those mistakes? And people do make mistakes. We are not taking Nadhim for his policy on COVID or indeed for rolling out that vaccine. He's there as a member, but he has formidable experience in government. And look, we are learning the whole time. We started this party, well, after the Brexit party, and we were polling at 2-3%. We're polling at 31%. So will we do things as an executive team that people don't like? Possibly. We are trying to do everything for the right reasons. Will we make mistakes? Of course we will. But actually, I think the general trend is the right trend.
So how do the defections even work? Like with Robert Jenrick, for example, how early did you know? When did these conversations start, David? And be honest.
Well, I can't tell you is the honest answer. So they come, but they
this guy.
No, no, it's not that. But any conversation we have is a private conversation, right? If you were to say to me,
no one's listening, no one's watching this, mate. It's just me and you.
Yeah, right. But if you were to come over to me and said, subtly after I buy you a large glass of wine, which you're very partial to, that if you said to me, David, look, I'm keen to stand as a parliamentary candidate, that is a private conversation. I'm not going to tell everyone that JJ wants to stand as a parliamentary candidate. So, of course, there are conversations ongoing. There are lots of people who we're talking to. I've actually turned down sitting members of parliament because they're not a good fit.
Wonderful. How many people would you say you've turned down?
Quite a few.
And is this from across all parties?
Yes.
Wow.
Because the thing is, we don't need to compromise. We are building a party, and this is the line I use from the ground up, not the top down. What is interesting is that I have been around this country over the last, it feels like forever, but 6-7 months. I've seen 6,000 members. I go to village halls, working men's clubs. I do speeches. You've probably seen what I do.
Yeah, absolutely.
People feel really energized. They love it because actually I am one of them. And I'm saying, look, stand up, be counted, be a counsellor. Can you come and knock on doors and stuff? But also they can see we're real. All of us have actually had a real job.
Yeah. And
it's made a huge difference, actually. And we're real. So, just in terms of just all the events we're doing, I'm welcome, it's very humbling. People really want to come and say hi because also I think the television, the relationship they have with me, they know me and they trust me. And as you hopefully know, I'm a very honest person.
I'd agree with that. I think most of the time you're honest. I agree with that.
Apart from when I say I like that suit. No, actually, I like that suit. It's one of your better ones.
What is your message to because we have lots of Tory MPs who watch this show. We have a lot of Labour MPs. Lib Dems, they're running scared. They don't watch us.
Sure.
Weak. But to the Tory MPs and the Labour MPs who are watching this, what's your message to those ones who are considering jumping across?
Well, so I am delighted we have a cut-off date now. We have said May the 7th, that's it. You're either with us or you're not. And that goes across the board. It doesn't matter whether you're a councillor or an MP or whatever. The Conservative Party is a really interesting case study because actually for those... The Conservative Party is not one party. It is 5 or 6 different parties. They're all pulling in different directions, aren't they? Yeah. So you've got the woolly liberals, you've got the people who may be more right of centre. It's this terrible sort of amalgam of trying to hold the whole thing together. And it's like holding a blancmange. You're just not going to be able to do it. And I think Kemi Badenoch is finding that in trying to keep all of those factions together. What I would say is, and this is a very serious point, I feel this is the last chance saloon for the United Kingdom. And I'm not saying that in some sort of dramatic way. I actually think we are in such a terrible mess, whether it's the economy, whether it's the health service, whether it's our foreign policy, everything we do is a mess. Keir Starmer has no belief structure and no ideology, really at all, does he? They went into that election, they won pretty much by default. They have no idea what they're doing. And just the sense of anger, and I see it the whole time because people come up to me and say, you are the last chance for us. We are growing very quickly, we're professionalising. All I would say is that we are open to those people who believe passionately in what we believe in, but equally if you have experience, obviously that will count towards you coming across. But at the same time, I want people who've never done it before.
Yeah, good. Well, I think you can tell by the amount of times that Starmer mentions Nigel Farage's name. He's living in his head.
Well, he's got a man crush.
He is
obsessed with Nigel. I mean, it is amazing. So even when he's not in there, he mentions the Right Honourable Member for Clacton. Yeah. And actually, when I do my speeches, I always talk about that. But it's true, he is living rent-free in Starmer's head. Nigel, I have known for a very long time. He is the most effective political communicator I have ever met. I will say to him, right, I want you to speak for 40 minutes. He will go onto that stage and speak for 40 minutes, 0 seconds, with no notes, and he has the crowd like here. And I, like you, I'm very used to public speaking. We're very used to being on television and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone that can do that. No one. I mean, I have like bullet points or whatever, and I've spoken to him. I said to him last night, he hasn't been very well, and I said to him last night, you did an incredible job because he knows where he starts, he knows what he wants to hit, and he knows how he wants to end. And the one thing, and let's just go back to Starmer, the thing that I think is pretty unforgivable, he basically said Nigel Farage is not a patriot. I don't know a more patriotic man than that man because he stood up in the European Parliament. Everyone said he was a nutter, pretty much.
Yeah.
But look, I then became a member of the European Parliament. I was a Brexit Party MEP. We were the largest single party in that European Parliament. We were triumphant. We voted for Brexit. And I say this, and I've said it repeatedly, the proudest day of my life was carrying the Union flag out of the European Parliament, sticking it on the Eurostar and bringing it back to the country where it belongs. Now, the problem is we never properly Brexited.
Yeah.
We have annexed Northern Ireland. There is a border in the RSC. 2 million of our citizens have been absolutely left alone. That is unacceptable. And the reason for that, Tory failure. Theresa May got played by the EU. She never wanted to leave. And actually, under a Reform UK government, and I sound like I'm now on stage again, under a Reform UK government, we will ensure that Britain is great again. The whole point is we should slash tax. We should make sure that we actually are competitive. Yeah. We need to get away from Europe. Keir Starmer is sliding us back in to the orbit of the European Union and the Death Star. That's got to stop.
So, Starmer mentions Farage, and Farage mentions Zach Polanski. A little bit.
Oh, interesting.
A little bit. He's called that Polanski a lunatic or whatever,
Well, I mean, it's a fairly impressive talent he has, doesn't he? That he can make certain parts of the anatomy grow just by thinking of it. This is a huge problem for Starmer, you see, because what you're seeing is the left splitting.
Yeah.
He doesn't know which way to go. So does he position himself more into the centre, in which case, of course, then the Greens are going to do better from the uber left wing? Or does he pivot left, in which case he loses all the moderate centrists? Yeah. And remember, politics is won and lost in the centre ground. So Starmer's actually in a very difficult position.
Yeah.
I mean, he's also appointed some utterly hopeless people into cabinet. Rachel Reeves, as we know, or as Lee calls her, Rachel from accounts. She was. I don't think she actually did counter service. I think she was in complaints. But you've got a Chancellor of the Exchequer. Not one member of that cabinet has actually run a business.
Yeah.
So look at the number of pubs closing. Look at. I was talking to an electrician, and he was saying, "I take on apprentices, and I've stopped because I can't afford to do it."
Yeah.
And that is a travesty for all of these young people. So we've got 1 million 18 to 25-year-olds not in education, employment, or training.
Yeah.
But I want to see all those brilliant businesses like carpenters, plumbers, electricians. By the way, when they're successful, you don't see a poor electrician.
Yeah.
But they need to have the ability to take on staff, to actually grow those very small businesses. And the rural economy does well as a result of that. Starmer, none of them understand that. He was asked what was his best place on earth, and he said Davos. That for me tells you everything you need to know pretty much about the way that this Prime Minister views the world.
Great answer, but is Zach Polanski living for free in Nigel Farage's head? Is Nigel obsessed with Zach?
No, I don't think so. He's a good political player, certainly.
He's bringing hope to a part of this country.
But it's great. Actually, the better that Zach Polanski does, the better for us.
Yeah.
Because, of course, as I say, then that vote moves over to Zach, and actually the rational people come to I would say that, wouldn't I?
You would say that.
But I think you're seeing, and I say this a lot, I have never, ever seen what I am seeing. This is a once-in-a-lifetime split. We believe, if you look at the latest polling, we're at 31%, right? So we would go from having, I have to remember how many MPs I have, 7 MPs.
Magnificent Seven.
The Magnificent Seven. To having anything between 377 and 450 seats. Labour would be decimated to 87, and the Tories could fit in a minibus. That is where we now are. And Kemi Badenoch has got a major problem because I don't know what she can do to hold that. I actually think the game's up. Because whatever she says, no one's listening.
I don't know about that. At the moment, I think I saw a poll today saying that she's polling better as a leader than
really?
Nigel.
Better
for first time in
for a leader?
For leader, first time in a year.
Who did they poll?
I didn't look.
See, so these
I
things,
didn't look at the details.
Detail is important, JJ.
What is Reform's biggest internal weakness? If you even have
Okay,
one.
good question.
Thank you. It's my job.
No, very, very good question, which surprises me coming from you.
It's not being on Power Malone.
I can to say things like that.
Yeah, of course you
can. Complacency.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
So I've watched this party grow and grow and grow. And then when I'm out and about canvassing and campaigning, I see people go, well, we're going to win. Because actually everyone keeps telling us we're going to win.
Yeah.
But remember, it's never over until the final whistle. So complacency, making mistakes, there is a lot to go. What is interesting is May the 7th. So we have elections in Scotland, in Wales, 32 London boroughs. These are pretty much our midterms, if you take the American example. So we believe if we do well in the midterms, we will go on, or these elections, we will go on to win the general. So everything has to be focused on that. In terms of growing, we took on another 16 staff last week. So and I've done this before, so I ran a business. We're growing so quickly that actually it's really important for me as chairman to make sure that we have consistency across the business, that make sure that there aren't silos developing, which you get in any organisation, don't you? And so just making sure that it's slow and steady progress, that we constantly look and relook at everything that we're doing. Is it in the national interest? Are we true to our values? All of that stuff is really, really important. But actually, I think just having all these candidates down from Scotland and Wales, there's some amazing talent. Really and when you look at the polling, we are polling incredibly well. We're polling, in the 20s in both Scotland and Wales. 28% in Wales, thereabouts, 24 in Scotland. I'm off to Scotland tomorrow to show my support.
But who are they polling, David? It's the details.
Well, I think you'll find, JJ, it's a very comprehensive sample of Scottish people and Welsh people. When I started my nationwide tour, I made a conscious decision I would start in Scotland. Because it's really important, and the union is really important as well. And actually, I can see what's going on in Scotland. I shall be in Aberdeen and Edinburgh, and I'm taking my kilt, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you go proper native with it? Oh, wow.
Yeah. Scotland be scared.
Hope it's not too windy.
Or chilly. There's a lot of material in the kilt, by the way.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
good
you'll be
know.
pleased to know. Maybe I should get you one. So we're doing really well in all of those. But actually, what is going to be interesting is London. So you've kind of got the donut around London.
Yeah.
These are Brexit supporting areas, the sort of Essex, Kent, even as far as Suffolk. You know, my neck of the woods where I live would be normally very, very Tory. You would normally weigh the vote. You wouldn't actually count it. Not anymore.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
How are you feeling about Layla Cunningham? She is quite dynamic. She's well spoken, and she's a native Londoner.
She's great.
Raised
I was with her
London.
this morning.
Yeah. So how do you feel about her chances of going up against Sadiq Khan for London?
Well,
Mayor?
Sadiq Khan's ruined London. I think everyone would agree with that. You know, pretty much everything he does, it seems to me, to be for Sadiq Khan rather than for the people of London. I think London is pretty unrecognisable. It's not the city I've been in since I was 18. I think it's lost.
A long time ago. Since you were 18.
You have no idea.
Like Jack the Ripper.
It's like centuries.
Yeah.
Centuries ago. I don't know. I kind of think London is too expensive. It's lost its sheen. The central London doesn't have that sort of vibe that it once did. It's a bit too sanitised for my liking. All of this pedestrianisation, great in the centre, fab. But if you look at the link, for example, the reason I was late today was I got stuck in that one way, you know, and all that. And anyway, so Layla is brilliant. She's articulate. She's a mother of 7. She is a native Londoner. She knows what she's doing. She's a former Crown prosecutor. So she's the real deal.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't want to mess with her. So luckily she's on my team. I think she is going to be great. The membership love her. She's very, very outspoken. She will say things that, you know, could be on the edge a bit, but that's good. That's what people like. They like some honesty.
Yeah.
So I think she's great.
The membership, I think, do love Lady Cunningham. I think they're less keen on Zia Youssef, if I'm honest. I think they're less keen on him. Even in previous months, and I don't want to put you under any pressure. I know he's your colleague.
He is my colleague.
But I think he's perhaps less popular with certainly with Reform supporters and the wider public.
So what I would say about Zia is he did an amazing job because obviously he was my predecessor. He set up those branches. We have 450 branches. He is a very detailed man. He loves actually putting the nuts and bolts together. He's now head of policy. He's extremely eloquent. He's very good in interviews. Yeah. I think he would admit this. I have different
bedside manner.
I am different to him, right? So I like meeting people. I like going out and doing those big events for 200, 300, or last night 1,500 people.
Yeah.
That is not his wheelhouse. So we're now all in positions where I think they actually suit our skills.
Well, the other day he said on social media that people who have opposing political views, it's disgusting or whatever that they're pally off camera. You and I have different political views.
I disagree with him profoundly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good.
Common
sense.
But I think it's really important that you do have friends who you don't agree with. Otherwise, you live in an echo chamber,
exactly.
don't you?
You do.
And many of my friends do not subscribe to some of my views. But actually, like you and me, there is a Venn diagram of stuff where in the middle we agree.
Yeah.
But then we may disagree on other stuff.
Absolutely.
But then, you know, in many ways, I am sort of a fiscal conservative and a social liberal. So I'm different to some of the other people in our party, for example. But he's entitled to his view. That is not party policy. And I say that as chairman.
Good. Quick one before you go. Starmer, the Chagos Islands, and this Chinese super embassy.
Yeah.
He signed off the super embassy, which I think is a huge, massive mistake. And he's given away the Chagos Islands, which Trump says is inane stupidity. What are your thoughts on that?
Trump's right. 3 words. What a numpty. The whole thing is ridiculous. He has basically sacrificed our country. The Chagos Islands, by the way, we didn't need to give them back. That was started under the Tories, by the way. Yeah. He actually didn't tell the truth about how much this is going to cost. I think he said originally 3.5 billion. Well, his decimal point was in the wrong place. It's 35 billion. It's against the wishes of the Chagosian people, as you know. The Chagosian people want to remain part of us. It is strategically a disastrous mistake. We're giving it away to Mauritius. By the way, Mauritius never owned the Chagos Islands. So what is that about?
Yeah.
And it is strategically very important. I know that site, by the way, in London, where the Chinese embassy is due to be built. 280 secret rooms underground. It sits between the city and Canary Wharf, meters from fibre optic cables carrying really important data between the city and Canary Wharf. It is utter madness. Now, they say, oh, well, the Chinese are going to close down some of their smaller operations. You believe what China's telling you? I mean, none of this makes any sense. To me, I would have blocked that immediately. And so, again, remember, Starmer, this goes back to my issue with him. I don't believe he acts in the national interest of the country. He is a sort of a lawyer. He sees everything in sort of black and white. He has, for me, no principles, no idea of the greater good. I do not understand either of those decisions, and we have said over the Chagos Islands we will reverse that.
Okay. You will definitely reverse that? You pledge that?
That is policy.
Okay, good. Final question.
There's a lot of final questions.
Final question. If Trump punishes us and raises the tariffs because we don't agree to let him go and take over Greenland, what should we do about that?
Well, look, we are very close allies and very good friends, and luckily, obviously, Nigel and Donald, first name terms, do know each other. I don't think tariffs are the right way to go at all. But look, Trump is the art of the deal maker, so he's threatening all these tariffs and all the rest of it. What I do think is the US has got right is to say to the rest of Europe, you need to up your defence spending because actually we're sick and tired of carrying you. And he is right. He's absolutely right on that. Greenland is very strategically important, and actually the concern is he undermines NATO. I think actually what he's doing is probably going to get them to get their stuff together. And what we need is Greenland to be secured, for there to be a NATO base there. And you saw that. The EU actually are now actually doing something. So I think with Trump, you always have to think he says one thing, but actually his modus operandi is very, very clever.
So you don't think we should punish him and pull out of the World 100%. Cup?
No.
That'll teach the Americans.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, really good, very good. Remind me not to have you as some sort of diplomatic ambassador in any cabinet. But no, I think, look, America is our closest ally. It's really important. He will say lots of stuff. We say lots of stuff. But ultimately, in any relationship, a bit like what we said, is that you put your opposing point of view and you will come to some sort of agreement. And that is the true of this case too.
Finally.
Oh, right, we're doing another.
Finally. This isn't a question. It's more of a statement. Oh, yeah. I told you before, you're not supposed to have a tie that matches the pocket square.
Yeah.
And you went and researched it, and you came back to me and you said, you're right, JJ.
I did say you were right.
Yeah, so what are you doing? But for the people who are listening, Dr. David Ball is wearing a pink tie with a matching pink pocket square. It's not fashion faux pas.
I think it's more burgundy, but anyway. I don't get paid the big bucks that you do, so I can't afford your silk excrescence that you are sporting. So I have to go for cheaper options, JJ.
Man of the people. That's David Ball. Thank you very much for joining us. That is all we have time for today on the Daily Expresso. Please leave your thoughts in the comments. And as always, let us know who you want to see on the show. Thank you for watching. Oh, don't forget, subscribe and like. And of course, you can listen to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Bye-bye for now.